In this article, we will discuss the Stone Age domestic dog, the Japanese dog, using excerpts from a booklet by NIPPO. I apologize if the translation is difficult to understand because it is done by machine. Domestic dogs have been bred in Japan since the Stone Age. These included small, medium, and large sizes. There are two smaller breeds, named first Japanese dog and second Japanese dog. The other two breeds are intermediate between the two or crossbreds, making a total of 4 breeds, but the two main breeds are the above two. Of course, the nature of the fur and other characteristics can only be guessed at, but the following differences between the first and second are easy to distinguish in the skeletal structure. In the Stone Age, the first Japanese dog was more common, but according to Hiroshi Sato's theory, there are absolutely no modern Japanese dogs that do not have stops like the first Japanese dog, and most of them are closer to the second Japanese dog. By the time Mr. Hasebe first reported on Japan's Stone Age domestic dogs in 1924, only the skeletons of small breeds were in hand. However, 2 domestic dog skeletons collected the following year during the excavation of the Adora Shell Mound in Kezen County and 2 skulls donated by Sashichiro Mori and Genshichi Endo in 1927 from the Numazu Shell Mound outside Ishinomaki City both surpassed the second Japanese dog in size. Furthermore, it is a medium-sized breed that is comparable to the ash dogs found in the ash layers of Bronze Age sites in Europe, such as Austrian and Czechoslovakia. This indicates that the first and second Japanese dogs and medium-sized dogs were bred during the same Stone Age period. Therefore, I would like to call this medium-sized dog the 5th Japanese dog, but I have other ideas and refrain from doing so. In the text of Mr. Hiroshi Sato's introduction of the Stone Age domestic dog in Nivenken Volume 5, Number 1, he does not mention this medium-sized domestic dog, which, similar to the Daiichi Nippon Inu, has a nearly flat forehead, i.e., without or with a weak stop. If there was already a medium-sized dog, it is natural to assume that there could have been a large dog. I thought that a single lower jawbone, which happened to be collected from a shell mound in Kezen County's Monzon Shell Mound, would be the equivalent of a large domestic dog. However, Mr. Hiroshi Saito, who is a Japanese native, said that no domestic dog had teeth as large as those of this specimen, and treated it as a wild animal. Dr. Yoshio Abe and others also considered the so-called Yamainu to be a wild animal, but they also suspected that it was a domestic dog that had become feral. For this reason, I would like to see the skeletal skulls of other so-called Yamainu in Leiden, Berlin, London, etc. Until then I cannot recognize the so-called Yamainu as a pure beast. The lower jawbone from the Monzon Shell Mound is comparable to that of a bronze dog found at a European Bronze Age site in terms of both thickness and length of dentition. However, the length of the first molar is 25 mm, which is slightly larger than the 24 mm of a Bronze Age dog. However, the gap between the canine teeth and the first premolars is 6 mm, and the gap between the second and third premolars is 5 mm. This would make the dentition sparser and less beastly than that of the so-called wolf, which I will discuss later. And just because the teeth are a little bigger does not make it a beast. Some domestic dogs are larger than bronze dogs. It is the lower jaw teeth. I should say that it is too early to rule out the Monzon dog as not being a domestic dog, but since the material is only one lower jawbone, I would not make the claim that it is not a wild animal until it is. In this connection, I would like to say a few words about the so-called Yamainu. According to Dr. Yoshio Abe, there are 2 Yamainu skulls in the British Museum in London. One of them was apparently collected in 1904 at Yamato Washikaguchi. Japanese zoologists were not sleeping, yet even during the Russo-Japanese War period, foreign travelers obtained the Yamainu. And yet, nowhere in Japan today are any Yamainu skeletons preserved, except stuffed. This is the first point that does not add up, but even many European scholars are quick to make hasty judgments. I would first suspect that the term Yamainu was used to describe a domestic dog that had become wild. However, it is true that the teeth of not only the British Museum specimen, but also the Yamainu in the Berlin Anatomy Department are so large that they do not resemble those of a domestic dog. However, the one from the Leiden Museum is the most suspicious, with the lower first molar length of 24 mm, so this is a bronze dog class. No Yamainu skeletons have been preserved in Japan, but 2 lower jawbones found in shell mounds have even larger teeth than those of the London and Berlin Yamainu. One of the lower first molars from the Eno clam mound measures 28 mm in alveolar length. The other is from the Odora shell mound, and is also 27 mm in length measured from the alveolus. The Yamato Yamainu from London has a lower first molar length of 26 mm, while the one from Berlin is 25.5 mm, so there is not much difference. Also, although larger than bronze dogs and other breeds, the Leiden one is 24 mm, as mentioned above, and the difference reaches 4 cm compared to the clamshelled one. Therefore, the clam mounds and the lower jawbone of the large cave were not assigned to the Yamainu, assuming that they belonged to the wolf. Therefore, the clam mounds and the lower jawbone of the large cave were not assigned to the Yamainu, assuming that they belonged to the wolf. Hadophylax means a guide. This is confusing because it refers to wolves. Without seeing the actual animals, it is impossible to distinguish on one's own that the ones in Berlin and London are wild beasts and the ones in Leiden are domestic dogs gone wild. Lumped together, they were to be treated separately from the beast that bequeathed the lower jawbone to the clam mound and uhura. In the lower jawbone of the clam mound and uhura the teeth are large and the dentition is dense. The gap between the canine and first premolar is 4 mm or 3.5 mm. The gap between the second and third and premolar is 2 mm or 3 mm. The gap is significantly smaller than the Monzon beasts mentioned previously. In this respect, it is difficult to equate the beast of Monzon with the beasts of clam mound and uhura. Therefore, the beast of Monzon was a large domestic dog of bronze class, while the beasts of the clam mound and uhura were wolves. In order to avoid any misunderstanding that the descriptions by Mr. Abe and Mr. Saito make them the same as Yamainu, I have noted the above points again here. Japanese dogs trace their origins back to the Jomon period, boasting a long and illustrious history. Recent genetic analysis has revealed that Japanese dogs possess unique genetic markers, setting them apart from other dog breeds. This distinctiveness is attributed to their adaptation to the diverse environments of the Japanese archipelago. Of particular interest are the first Japanese dog and the second Japanese dog, both small breeds. These dogs exhibit distinct skeletal structures, suggesting that they belong to different lineages. The first Japanese dog is believed to have been more primitive, with shorter, thicker legs and a broader skull compared to modern Japanese dogs. On the other hand, the second Japanese dog had a more refined physique and is considered to be closer to the ancestors of modern Japanese dogs. Today, Japan is home to a multitude of dog breeds, including the Shiba Inu, Akita Inu, and Hokkaido Inu. Each breed possesses unique characteristics in terms of body shape, coat color, and temperament, having been selectively bred for specific purposes and regions. For instance, the Shiba Inu was bred for hunting, while the Akita Inu was bred as a guard dog. Many mysteries remain regarding the origins and evolution of Japanese dogs. For example, the origins of the first and second Japanese dogs, such as where they came from and how they arrived in Japan, are still unknown. In addition, the process by which the diverse breeds of modern Japanese dogs were formed remains a puzzle. Future research is expected to shed more light on the evolutionary history of Japanese dogs. Advancements in ancient DNA analysis will allow for the recovery of genetic information from extinct dog breeds, providing a more detailed understanding of their evolution. Furthermore, archaeological investigations and comparative studies with dog breeds from around the world may uncover new insights into the origins and evolution of Japanese dogs. We believe that our relationship with customers begins after they bring a puppy home. Our motto is "Our foundation is family." We strive to be like family to our customers for a lifetime. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to contact us at the email address